Hello everyone, my name is Yvette Lugo. I'm the director for the Rio Grande Area Agency on Aging. Today, I will be substituting for Mary Yanez, who's on break. Joining us for today's show is Miss Wanda Helgesen from the Border Rack. And so, Miss Wanda, tell us what the Border Rack is. I'm not quite sure everyone knows what that is.
Thanks very much for having me today. Border Rack is a coalition of hospitals and EMS providers who every day work on everything that has to do with emergency health care. One of those things happens to be trauma. The leading cause of trauma in older individuals is falls. And so that's why we think this is a really important topic.
Very true. I think sometimes people think just because you're aging, this is normal. That is so not true.
That
correct?
is so not true. Just because we're aging doesn't mean we are naturally going to fall. There are things that contribute to falls, weak muscles, sometimes medications we're on, etc. So just because we're aging does not mean we earn a fall. That's not how it works.
Right. Do you, in your experience, and you're a nurse, obviously.
I am a nurse.
Your experience of falls, I mean, that can be detrimental to someone.
It can, and sometimes we have a small fall and you think it's nothing too extraordinary and don't even say anything to anyone. But once you've fallen once, you have the ability to fall multiple times. And while falls are not necessarily natural when you're aging, unfortunately, the injuries that are caused by those falls can be complicated by our age and our general condition at that point in time. So the more falls we have, the more serious it becomes.
Do you think or feel like people can do things to prevent falling?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the most important things is to really be honest with yourself about your fall risk and not try to deny the things that are happening to you, weaker muscles, those kinds of things. But it's really important that you be honest with yourself about your risk and own it and do the things that you can do to try to prevent them.
What do you think would be a simple task, something that someone could do today, perhaps, to just make a change?
Well, one of the things you can do is look at your home environment. I think we've all heard these things before. How many people have tripped over a throw rug? So while they're very pretty, maybe they would make a great wall hanging. But we should get rid of throw rugs. Those cute little slippers that don't have a back that we come out of easily, probably we need shoes and slippers that have full backs on them so that we have better standing on the floor. Look at things that you use every day that is in your kitchen that are on the top shelves. Get somebody to move those down to lower shelves. Just look at those kinds of things every day that really put you at risk. Night lights are a big help, particularly if they're motion sensitive. So if you get up in the middle of the night, one will come on. But look for lights that are amber, that are not that bright white, that sometimes will skew your vision and make you unbalanced as you're walking.
Those are very good suggestions. I think especially we take that for granted. And it's our home. We should be safe at home. But you're absolutely right.
And you never think your home has to change. But we've changed our decor over time and we bought new pillows and those sorts of things. This is no different from that. It's really just changing with the times.
Very true. You mentioned earlier about medication, and I think sometimes we take that for granted because we assume our doctor knows what they're prescribing. They wouldn't give us something that would harm us, but in fact, there might be some risks there too.
Absolutely, depending on what medications you're on, and it could be everything from your blood pressure medication that makes you a little bit hypotensive and makes you a little bit dizzy. Could be anything that you're taking for sleep, that you're taking for pain. It's not uncommon as we age that we have more chronic pain and we get medications for those. All of those things can cause you to fall. They can make you unbalanced. And sometimes they are prescribed by different physicians. So you really need to make sure that you have a physician who's really sort of the captain of the ship, who's looking at everything all of your specialists are doing to look at those medications and how they might interact with each other and what the consequences and side effects of those might be. Doesn't mean you have to stop those, but just make sure that you're really looking at those. The other thing I would say too when we're talking about medications is, you know, as we get older and we start to lose some of our friends, we sometimes get very sad, and a physician might suggest that we talk to a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and many of us are like, I'm not crazy, I'm not going to do that. But we really should be open to that, because it's nice to have somebody to talk to that you can just lay it out there exactly how you feel, and you don't have to worry about hurting a family member's feelings or something along those lines. And sometimes that's very helpful as well. So don't just discount the suggestions of your physicians. But it's not just your medications, it's making sure that you don't forget to have your eyes checked. True. Our vision changes. The first time I got bifocals and I tried to walk down the steps, I was like, what? So you have to watch out for those things. So make sure you get your vision checked. And also your hearing. We don't always think about hearing, but sometimes when you're walking outside, particularly nowadays, we have all these electric cars, you can't hear them coming.
Right.
It's really making sure that you look holistically at your better health and try to take the steps to take all of that into account.
Very true. And I like that you're encouraging that, because again, with our ageist society, unfortunately, things like adaptive aids, like hearing aids, like, bifocals, like you said, the stigma that comes along with having to use something that we may need to use as we age, I think that's important for us to hopefully embrace it.
Well, I agree. And I think as we do that and sort of take responsibility for this is where I am in life, all of those things make you more independent. They don't make you dependent. Right. When you can't hear, when you can't see, and your family is afraid to let you walk outside the door for fear that you won't see anything, that's when they become overprotective, lovingly, yet overprotective. And all of those things really take away your independence. And we want everybody to be more independent. And that means not only hearing aids, bifocals, your glasses, those sorts of things, but it is also adaptive aids like walkers or canes. I know I can speak for my family. That was, no, I'm not doing that. But the more you don't use those things and you are unwilling to do that, then you are more unstable and you are, by definition, less independent.
Correct.
So again, really think about your resistance to those things. I get it, they're not necessarily pretty, they're not sexy looking, that sort of thing, but there's some great walking sticks, if that's what you need, instead of cane that is decorated or painted to your ethnicity, your love of the arts, whatever that is, then do that and make it a statement piece about you as opposed to, a cane. Own it.
Right. Make
yourself independent. It's really important.
I agree. And I think that's the key, because I think that's part of why we're driven a society that's anti-aging or anti, the fear of getting old. That if you embrace it and that there are things that you can do to help maintain your independence, then why wouldn't you, right?
And remember, as we age, we gain new independence in being able to say whatever we want and listen to who we want and not who we want.
Right.
And so I think it's just really that whole understanding of our new life and what we're going to do there. One of the things that you and I had talked about earlier was getting assistance from our families. You and I have both been in this situation where our families want to help. They want to make life easier for us. They know we've worked very hard all of our lives, and they just want us to have an opportunity to relax, which is wonderful, as long as it's not stealing your independence.
Right.
So have good conversations, be firm. I can do that. I want to do that, and really sort of work that out. Having somebody do everything for you really is not necessarily helpful.
And finding that balance.
And finding the balance, absolutely.
Because I think, yes, as a caregiver, I think you and I probably both been on that spectrum. It's just easier sometimes if we do it. It's faster. It might add to our burden, though, and those are the things that we might not think about.
Right. And I think there are times that it makes us feel good as caregivers that we are doing those things, but we need to have a really good conversation about where we're really helping and where we're perhaps overstepping a little.
And I think this is why it's all encompassing. I mean, the topic here we're obviously trying to cover is fall prevention.
Right.
Right, and thinking about falls as we age, or even not, just things that can affect us and can potentially lead us to hospitalizations and other risks, factors that can affect us. But I think looking at it from a different perspective and just embracing the fact that there's things that can help you, or staying active, doing or looking for things in your home, those are all things that we can do now that add to our independence.
Right. What do I have to do to allow me to continue to do the things that I want to do? And whether that's a medication discussion with your physician, or it's some type of adaptive device that makes it easier for you, all of those things are what's going to make it easier for you. That building some muscle strength in your legs. We did some fall risk assessments at the Aging to Perfection Expo that was here recently, and it's amazing that people don't understand there are easy ways to identify if you are at risk, and that lets you determine ways that you can decrease that risk.
Very true. I think when you talked about those assessments, those fall risks, what were some of the common, were there any common threads or things that you saw?
I would say the biggest thing that we saw is weak muscles and balance.
Okay.
And those things, there are lots of things you can do. There's chair yoga, there's Tai Chi, there's lots of different things that you can do to try to build those muscles up. And as you do that, then that improves your balance.
Very true. So it lends itself to the term staying active or active aging, right? That it's so important that any little movement of at least keeping ourselves a little bit active, right? Maintaining or engaging those muscles, those muscle groups are going to then continue to lend themselves to your independence.
The other muscle group that we have a tendency not to continue to explore is this one. And whether that's reading or watching a documentary that's different from a show that you normally watch, anything that increases that brain activity is good. Interaction with your friends, going to some of the senior citizens, playing cards, board games, all of those things really help. Once you keep all of those muscles working, including the one behind our eyes, makes a difference.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things, those topics that I think people don't want to talk about. Maybe perhaps admission that perhaps there have been some falls. Those are all reasons, of course, to just remember that there are things that can be done and conversations that should be had.
Absolutely.
And those are all reasons why, again, it's important for us to stay active, stay engaged, and do the things that we perhaps might think of ourselves as if you're getting older, but you're staying independent, right?
Right.
And embracing aging.
That is the absolute goal, is to be independent.
That goes with ours as well, that whole, our premise and why we want people to age successfully and do better so that we're not so dependent, right? We want everyone to maintain that independence and age with dignity, I think. And as long as we can bust myths of ageism, I think we're in the right business.
I agree.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wanda. Your information is so helpful. Do you suggest that people contact you or just really connect with their family and physician for any further information?
They can certainly contact us. Our number is 915-838-3200, and we have information on falls and things that individuals can do. But absolutely connect with your group, whether that's your family, your church, your group that you're taking classes with, whatever. Keep yourself involved. Focus on your physical health. Make sure your muscles are strong, and it'll all be good. Stay independent. You've given a lot, and we need to learn from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Absolutely,
Wanda,
my
for being
pleasure.
here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And don't leave. We'll be back soon with guests from Humana.
Hello, I'm Mary Yanez, Director of the Senior Adult Program and your host for Mature Living. You know, this show has been ongoing for over 30 years, and so we want you to watch. Of course, we come on EPCC TV throughout the week On Sundays, we're on KCOS, at Public Channel 13. And so we also want to remind you that we are on YouTube. Just visit EPCC TV on YouTube, and you'll be able to see many of our shows and interviews that we've run over the year. See you then.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Hello again. Thank you for joining us. We have with us today representatives from Humana, one of the plan options here in El Paso. Joining us today is Pedro Burgos, Market Manager, and Alma, Community Outreach Manager, talking to us about some important topics regarding your Medicare, Medicaid, all of that stuff that has to do with benefits. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Pedro, we'll start with you. I know that sometimes people confuse Medicare or Medicaid. They always sometimes think it's the same thing, but in fact it's two different things. So can you talk to us about what is, so when someone means they're dual eligible, what does that mean and how do people know if they qualify?
Sure. People who are 65 or older or those younger who qualify to disability are eligible for Medicare. What people sometimes don't realize that they may also be eligible for a state's Medicaid program based on primarily financial need. Individuals who fit into both categories are known as dual eligible, according to the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. It is important to know that eligibility for Medicare and Medicaid are determined separately. Not everyone qualifies for both.
Very true. And I think when people have to qualify or try to figure things out, sometimes it's hard to navigate systems, so understanding what that is. What do people think, what are the main things people need to know if they're dual eligible?
Sure. While both programs are administered by the government, they are two entirely different programs that operate under different guidelines. One of the things Humana recommends for people who are dual eligible is to consider enrollment in dual eligible special needs plan, which is a type of Medicare Advantage plan for people who qualify for both Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare Advantage plans are administered by private insurance companies like Humana and offer traditional benefits, often not as a premium. If you're dual eligible, you can enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan once per calendar quarter between January and September, not just during the Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plan annual enrollment period that takes place from October 15th through December 7th.
Very true. And that is such a key time period for our Medicare beneficiaries. Obviously important to ensure that they know what's best for them, that their plans are still up to date, that they're covering what needs to be covered. And I think this, for dual eligibles, that can be confusing sometimes because again, wait, do I qualify for this? Do I qualify for that? Knowing that if you have both, and that's where that dual eligible title stands in, for those individuals, when you talked about a dual eligible special needs plan, it's special because it's obviously you have both coverages, right? Medicare and Medicaid. So what's that advantage of having, when you have you are a dual eligible beneficiary, you have both, what's an advantage of having a special needs plan over just traditional Medicare?
Yeah, so there are primary benefits of having dual eligible special needs plans over traditional Medicare. First, having dual eligible special needs plans mean that Medicare Advantage becomes your primary health plan for receiving care. These plans typically provide you with a network of doctors, hospitals, care providers. Doctors and healthcare providers know that working with Medicare Advantage plans means patients will have coordination and other benefits available through the plan. Second, dual eligible special needs plans often include extra benefits such as dental, vision, and over-the-counter drug allowances. Many times you will also have access to fitness benefits that offer membership participating fitness centers access to fitness classes. At the same time, these plans may also have a benefit designed to help minimize cost. For example, most dual eligible needs plans have zero copay for doctor visits and affordable zero copays for specialists. Most Humana's dual eligible needs plans also include a healthy food card, offers $25, $50, or $75 monthly allowance depending on the plan. Members can get this food at a nutrition they need. Healthy food cards can be used at different retailers like Walmart, CVS, and Kroger.
Wow, that's impressive. This is one of those things where when people look at the different plan options and this might be something that's important to you. This might be a reason why, and I can imagine that might be why Humana might have thought this. This is important. This is important to support the community, important to support our beneficiaries in this way. And I think there's other aspects about Humana connecting to community that are so important that you'd like to highlight, Alma. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you for having us. Well, as a community outreach manager for Humana, I've been fortunate enough to be involved in the community and try and not only reach out to our members, but provide valuable resources to help our members make informed decisions about their health. And I think one of the most favorite advantages of having a Medicare Advantage, in my opinion, it's the benefit that we have. It's called a Go 365. And what that is, it's a rewards program available not only on the dual eligible, but on many of our plans. And what they do is they accumulate sometimes up to $200 or more on rewards that they can turn in for retail stores. The eligible activities include maybe an annual wellness visit, getting an mammogram, doing your preventative services, and they accumulate money that they can utilize towards a healthy food card, or they can go out, get a Walmart gift card. We had a member that came in and didn't even know she had this benefit, and we helped her register on Go 365, and then she was really surprised and happy to know she had $75 worth of rewards that she could utilize, and she just chose a gas card. Nowadays, that's so handy.
Right.
So that's one of my most favorite things that we have at the office. We also have healthy eating card, which Pedro focused on a little bit. It's part of our dual eligible. As the community outreach, part of our role is we've coordinated opportunities at the office for members to come in. We're located at 1188 Yarborough. That's Suite O, 79925. And what we do is, what I've done is I've incorporated a Silver Sneakers class. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the Silver Sneakers, Humana members come in and do a class right there at Humana. In our activity center, we spread out, with social distancing, and they come in, and Silver Sneakers has come in. And we've increased our membership. We have different activities. We have birthday parties. We have social events. We have people coming in, vendors to the office to give talks about a variety of things. And that activity room is available at no charge. It's the beautiful activity room with 2 big projector
And these
screens.
are available to Humana members.
The Silver Sneakers are just Humana members, but a lot of the other activities are open to the general public. We have our sales agents coming in and doing Medicare 101, kind of learning what happens when you turn 65, and they're every Friday we have them. You all can come down to the office and get information. Anybody can come down to the office and get information. I think one of the biggest advantages is we had a member that had just started his Silver Sneakers classes. He was one of 2 and came in faithfully and did his Silver Sneakers class, and all of a sudden he wasn't there anymore. And I asked for him, and he, I'll withhold his name because of privacy, and they told me that he had had a stroke. So last Thursday I saw him. He looked great, and I said, "Wow, you're back. I'm so glad to see you back." And he said, "You know what?" He said, "Because I've been coming to Silver Sneakers and because I've been doing so well," he says, I feel good. He goes, "I feel like that was able to help me do better with my stroke." He's walking, he's driving.
That's
and for
good.
me, that was like an aha moment. And I said, okay, what we're doing is important, and we're doing things that are going to benefit our members. And so just kind of wanted to share that story because that was really special, and he looks great. Looks great, and that's why we're here. We're here for that reason, to help our members not only make informed decisions about their health, but also to provide those resources that they need, whether it's education, whether it's Silver Sneakers, whether it's, hey, what's going to happen when I turn 65? What are my choices? So we have a lot of opportunities. We have programs in a box. We have doc talks to talk about diabetes. So it's great. It's wonderful. We invite everybody to come and visit us at our location.
That's good to know. I mean, those are obviously reasons to stay connected, showing that Humana is committed to being in this community, and as part of an option that's available to you, that you would encourage people, research, look at what's available, look at some of the extras we might be able to offer you when you're doing your plan comparison. And I think that's so important, at least from the perspective where we come from, where we encourage people to understand what's available, what's going to work best for you.
I like to share also a quick statistic with the community. El Paso is one of the highest Medicare penetration rates when you compare the population versus Medicare eligibles. Almost 40% of the population has Medicare here. So, and there's tons of Medicare questions. So as Alma mentioned, if you guys have any Medicare questions, regardless of what you're thinking, come see us, and we'll be happy to inform you and partner you with a sales agent that can help you make those informed decisions.
Very good. And I like that you are able to teach on that, because knowing the difference, right? Knowing what's next, what are my next steps? Because I think that's that's been our experience in helping people transition to when it's time to take Medicare, right? When, what are my best options? What are my, and then of course reaching out, like we talked about with the dual eligible community, again, understanding that means you've got both Medicare and Medicaid. That's important also. I think sometimes that population may feel left out at times because they figure, oh, you're just on Medicaid. But no, there's so much more that can be offered with that as well. Do you have any final thoughts, anything that would encourage our listeners or people watching us today to seek out Humana as a possible option for them this upcoming open enrollment period?
I think we both can share, but one of my main advantages of going to Humana is that we have a fully staffed office, whether our agents are there or not. We did have a member come in yesterday and said, I don't know who my agent is, but I've got some questions about my claims and how come I had to pay a specialist. We have a room with it's called a kiosk, and it's got a computer on there where the member literally can connect to somebody right away, whatever department, pharmacy, claims, puts his Medicare card, and he's talking to somebody face to face and in privacy, and he was able to resolve his issues. So we have that always available, whether it's the broker community or it's our career agents. Send your agents or your members down and they'll get what they need, they'll get help. We have an agent of the day, not during AP, but there's always somebody available to help them. So that I think is really important to highlight. Anything I might have missed?
No, I just like to just inform the community we're a Medicare destination. So if you have a question about Medicare, just because your parents are now aging into Medicare, or you're taking care of your grandparents, or even yourself, you're aging into Medicare, you're turning 65, please come see us. Once again, Humana, we're here to help the community and answer any Medicare questions that you guys have.
Perfect. So help us, your office location again, give us that address and the phone number.
So just if anybody wants to learn more about Humana or find a seminar near you or speak to a licensed agent, they can visit humana.com/Medicare, or you can call the local Humana office. Our number is 915-577-4166, and the TTY is 711, and our location is 1188 Yarborough, Suite O, as in over. 79925. We're right in the corner of Vista del Sol and Yarborough.
Okay, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Alma. Thank you, Pedro, for being
us.
here today.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Hope you'll join us next time when we have further discussions on important issues for older adults and family caregivers. Thank you for joining us.